Hello and greetings to everyone. My name is Genevieve Jones and I'm bringing you a presentation on parental involvement in student education. We're going to look at parental involvement in student education and we're going to use the No Child Left Behind Act to help guide our view on parental involvement in student education. Before I get started, I would like to explain parental involvement. Parental involvement in education is defined as the engagement of parents with children in schools to collaborate in the promotion of academic success. The U.S. Department of Education has afforded equal educational rights to all, and the No Child Left Behind Act has held schools and states responsible for student academic success. Yes, I said that the No Child Left Behind Act only holds schools and states responsible for student academic success. However, research has shown that students have higher success rates in school when parents are involved in their educational success. This brings me to the topic of parental involvement in education and how the No Child Left Behind Act only upholds schools and states for their success in students in their academia. I would like to begin by explaining the United States Department of Education, reviewing the duties, responsibility, and history of this department. The U.S. Department of Education was founded in 1980 to advocate student achievement and readiness in society by encouraging educational excellence and ensuring access. There are 4,400 employees who are responsible for the following: establishing policies on federal financial aid for education and distributing as well as monitoring those funds, collecting data on America's schools and disseminating research, focusing national attention on key educational issues, and forbidding discrimination and ensuring equal access to education. The United States Department of Education was also the one who founded the No Child Left Behind Act, which was an act that ensured that every child and family were afforded the same equal opportunity for education. Now that we have an understanding of what the United States Department of Education's sole purpose is, and that this is the same department that created the No Child Left Behind Act, it is now time for us to have an understanding of what the No Child Left Behind Act is. The No Child Left Behind is the updated version of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, which was passed in 1965. The Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 was developed to make sure low-income children was afforded the same education as the children who come from more wealthier families. Therefore, the No Child Left Behind Act assures that educational excellence is able to be accessed by all children and families. Also, the No Child Left Behind significantly holds schools and states accountable for students' academic success. This accountability was enforced once this act was signed in 2002 by President George Bush. As stated before, parental involvement has more positive effects than negative effects on students and their success rates in education. Benefits of parental involvement are as follows: student academic achievement, child mental and physical well-being, stronger parent-child relationship, and education reinforcement. Academic support is a combination of interpersonal, cognitive, emotional, behavioral, and instrumental support from parents, teachers, and peers. This support leads to student academic achievement, which is illustrated by an overall GPA. Parent involvement also influences a child's mental and physical health. Physically, a parent can ensure that their son or daughter gets a significant amount of rest and nutrition. The proper amount of sleep and nutrition leads to more energetic and happy children. And the more involved a parent in their child's life can lead to great mental well-being of a child. Parental involvement gives a child the feeling of love, compassion, want, and satisfaction. The confidence and security level of a child is greatly influenced by the strength of a parent-child relationship. The more involved a parent is, the stronger the relationship between a parent and child will be. Furthermore, parental involvement requires parents to engage in their children's lives, meaning to reinforce what a child is learning. Now, let's take a moment and reflect on what we have covered thus far. We know that the mission of the Department of Education is to foster educational excellence and to ensure equal access to educational opportunities. We know that the Department of Education were the ones who created the No Child Left Behind Act. The No Child Left Behind Act is a more newer version of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965. That particular act ensured that low-income families were granted the same educational rights as the more wealthier families. The No Child Left Behind Act upholds schools and states responsible in ensuring that students have a successful education. Now, we know that parental involvement is very important. We know that parental involvement has more positive effects than negatives. We know that parental involvement has seen to help students have academic achievement, reinforce education, have great mental and physical health, and also build stronger parent and child relationships. Knowing the importance of parental involvement now leads us to the problem at hand. The U.S. Department of Education implemented an act that only holds states and schools responsible for student academic achievement. The issue is not holding schools and states accountable for student academic success, but not holding parents responsible too. If research has shown that parental involvement influences positive educational outcomes, why haven't the government, or as I should say, the United States Department of Education, added parental obligations to the No Child Left Behind Act? These questions circulate on a daily in our government and also our school system and states. School involvement is very important in student success, but we now know that parental involvement is just as important. You really just can't have one without the other. In order to get student success in education, you must have a combination of both. But school involvement is not the problem that we have. We're having more issues with parental involvement. So, there is home-based involvement and school-based involvement that parents can both do in order to become more engaged in their child's educational success. Parental involvement in early children's lives has been positively correlated to language skills and social competency. Now, let's go over home-based involvement and school-based involvement. We know that parents are not able to sit in classrooms with their child and learn right next to them. So, there's multiple ways a parent can be involved in the children's life to make sure that their child is gaining from the educational system. Home-based involvement means taking part in educational-based activities such as homework and reading Story time at bedtime stories, anything of the sort where a child is learning. Parents should always ask a child when they get home, do they have homework? Because, like many of us, we used to say that no, we don't have homework, but more than likely we did have homework. A parent should be able to sit down at the dinner table with their child, make sure the child understands what was taught to them that day, and understand their homework assignment that is given to them by the teachers. And also, just simple reading one of your children's favorite books, either at bedtime or when they're taking a bath if they're younger children, helps with the knowledge aspect of a child has that they need in order to gain success in education. Now, there are school-based involvement. School-based involvement is engaging in activities such as volunteering for school functions and parent-teacher conferences. There are many types of functions such as field trip that a parent can volunteer for, a city hopkin dance, or even, let's say, high school. There's high school graduations and PTA meetings that a parent can volunteer and be a part of. Now, parent-teacher conferences are very important. Parent-teacher conference is a conference that children, well, not children, but parents and teachers have to discuss the child's progression in class. This is where a parent gets up-to-date information about children's grades, children's behaviors, and create expectations and new plans of development for the child. This is great. This builds a very great rapport with the parent and teacher that can be now used for student success in education. Now that we know that parental involvement in education is the problem that we're having in our educational system, and that is the fact that they are not holding parents accountable for being involved in the success of students, we can now look at current approaches that are being taken by schools and states to gain more academic success through integrating parental involvement in their school systems. Currently, schools and states are holding accountable teachers, administration, and parents, and also using standardized testing to make sure that students are having academic success and are learning what they're supposed to be learning in the classroom. Once again, the United States Department of Education has granted opportunity for families to have access to the same education as one another, and the No Child Left Behind Act ensures that the opportunities and educational excellence is gained. But the pressure of student academic success has been pushed solely off on states and schools that we forget all about the parents. It is a teacher's responsibility to educate students and their administrations to make sure that this job is being done. However, though, within the recent years, the No Child Left Behind Act has been removed in 42 states, leaving the school and state in charge of who to hold accountable for student academic success. Noted that 32 states established several persons accountable for academic success, which are the state, school system, the school, principal, teachers, parents, and students. Once again, I say 32 states have established their own personnel of who is accountable for academic success, which again are the state, school board, however each state considers it, the school, principal, teachers, parents, and students. And standardized testing is used to measure student academic success, which I can say not all standardized testing It's great because not everybody's great test takers, but it's a great tool to use to measure how well a child is doing in school. For example, the state of Florida has the FCAT, which is the Florida Comprehension Assessment Test, which goes over the simple subjects math, reading, writing, science, and these tests are used to measure what a child learns in each subject. Some states decide not to take the test every year or to break certain subjects off to take it every 3 years, but it helps keep track of a child's progression in academia. We are almost to the end of this presentation, but before we get to the end of this presentation, we must discuss some recommendations that can be hopefully used to make a change in our educational system where we are holding parents accountable for their children's success in education. Not only giving responsibility to schools and states, but incorporating parents into that responsibility and accountability for student academic success. So, here are the following recommendations that can be given to our government, schools, states that maybe help with parental involvement. We must first modify the No Child Left Behind Act. Since there are still some states that use this act, we must try to change it to where we are now holding parents accountable for the student's success in academia. Right now, schools and states are the only one. With adding parental involvement into that, we can gain a higher rate for success in academic from students. 2, we must inform parents about the important parental involvement. Explaining to parents and giving them knowledge of how their involvement in their children's lives can gain academic success, that will help more parents be involved in their children's school life. It helps them with homework or any of that aspect of schooling. The third recommendation is we must design and implement programs and activities that allow parents and children to engage with one another. We must have activities such as maybe a parent and children field day where they are doing activities together to build rapport, to build trust, care, compassion, love with one another. And like I said before, parental involvement is seen to build and strengthen parent and children relationships. Finally, we must emphasize the importance of education. We must drill into not only the schools, the states, and students heads the importance of education, but we must emphasize to parents how important education is. Them knowing how important education is can help the schools and states push students to want to be educated and want to gain knowledge. So with the help of parents knowing how important education is, success will be conquered. Now that we are aware of the problem and issues, it's time to take action. In an effort to promote more parental involvement in student academic achievement, educating parents on their important roles in children's education is the first step. Making a parent aware of the benefits and influence they can have on a child is a great step that will produce positive outcomes. Giving also workshops, parent training, this will help teach the basic skills of communication that parents can use to be more involved with students. Positive educational outcomes should still be everyone's main focus. We have come to the end of this presentation. But before I wrap it up, let's review what we have discussed. We have gained knowledge on the United States Department of Education and its sole purpose to us. We have reviewed the No Child Left Behind Act and how it affords us the opportunity, or affords us equal opportunity, for educational success. Also, we reviewed parental involvement and the importance of parental involvement and what students, teachers, schools, states can obtain from having parental involvement. The biggest focus is having parental involvement can lead to student academic success. Holding parents accountable for student success will help states and schools gain that success rate from students. We know that it takes more than just the student, the teachers, but you must incorporate parents in that. So, I'll leave you with this. Rome wasn't built in a day, and it also wasn't built by one person. In order to have a strong and positive outcome, you must have a solid foundation and a support system. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for your time.